the only thing I can imagine is that if a man is maybe a little intimidated by a woman who might know more about the world than him.
Do you think men view traditional marriage roles now changing to be emasculating for men, more empowering for women, or somewhere in the middle? Because if he really liked me, I would know, and I wouldn't have to sit here wondering, does he get to text me back? Does he actually really like me?
The symptom of the past ways was that men were controlling because they were in control.
Welcome to the Marriage Magnet podcast, where it's not just about attracting the one, it's about becoming the one. I'm your host, Nechama Phillips, and here we focus on growth, high standards, and creating an intentional life and love through self-development. Navigate your dating journey with clarity and confidence, because marriage is not just a box you check off, it's your life.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Marriage Magnet podcast. It is always a fun day when I have my husband here in the studio with me. Welcome back, Yehuda.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us. I'm actually really excited about today's episode because we are doing a part 2 of questions. I always forget the phrase. Asking my husband questions girls are too afraid to ask, I'm pretty sure is like the line. But yeah, just about getting a male perspective on certain things that women wonder about. Like, what is a guy thinking? Literally. In some scenarios, we really wonder. So we got a lot of cool opinions and cool takes last time, and now we have a flood of new questions that women are wondering, and they want to hear your perspective. We're going to do like your personal perspective. We're going to do a general male perspective, and obviously Yehuda always says a disclaimer, like he can't speak for all men, but just from your perspective, what you think men are thinking, if that makes sense. Anyway,
so not necessarily what I'm thinking, but what I think men are thinking.
Yeah, but first what you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
And we like to do a little personal update before we get started, so I will hand the mic to you because I still have to think about what I want to share.
It's not like the rest of the episode won't be personal, but this is a personal update. So the kids are back in school, which is a godsend.
Really
life could not be better. I don't know if I felt this way before, but now we got both kids. Both of the girls are in school.
You know what this reminds me of? That like parable of like this guy going to ask a rabbi what he should, that he's like has such a crowded house. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then he says, bring in your animals from the farm and bring in this. And then his house is like really, literally cannot move. It's an actual zoo in there. And then he starts to remove. The rabbi says, take out the cow, and then he's like, wow, this is so spacious. And it was the same exact small, cramped place as it was before. And I think that's really like what we're experiencing right now. Like the summer has been so chaotic.
I would have preferred a zoo, maybe. At least that would have been.
Well, anyway, I'm cutting you off. Go ahead. So the kids are back in school.
The kids are back in school.
What's going on in your life?
And we're getting back into routine. I'm doing some online school to get working on a new grand plan.
Yeah, we didn't really share the details, and maybe we'll keep that on the down low. But Yehuda has been through some changes, career changes, just big changes.
What change?
In the past 6 months or so, and it's exciting. It's good.
And now we are free to do whatever we want. I'm still on the kids being in school thing because it's really crazy. I was just like surviving for the summer, and now the weather's getting better. There's more time.
It's down from the triple digits to the double digits. So
anything below 100 is beautiful here. Know. Everyone come to Nevada, check it out.
There actually is someone this week. One of my Instagram followers is literally coming to our house for Shabbos. So that was really nice.
It's a good reminder. I didn't remember that. But yeah, that's cool.
Community, like I love that the community that I have, you know, on Instagram and YouTube from the podcast and Spotify, wherever you're listening and tuning in from, like we're building genuine relationships and connections, and people reach out. And if they're visiting Vegas, they want to, you know, come say hi, which is awesome.
Okay, so enough about us. Let's talk about men. And manly thoughts.
Wait, I didn't say my personal stuff.
Never mind. You can switch.
But it's really the same.
Yeah. What personally is going on for you?
Well, it's been a lot lately. There have been things going on in our community. There are things going on in people close to us that have been really tough to navigate. And I've shared a little bit on Instagram, like that I was just like struggling with a lot of like heavy things going on. And you have too. So I feel like that's also been, it's just added. It's like if the summer wasn't hard enough, then it was, then it was these things like on top of that. And yeah.
It's really, it has been an amazing thing to see the community though come together. So it's been really nice. It feels like we're actually living in a real community where every person is important, unlike maybe places we've lived in the past, or, you know, I'm sure that exists everywhere, but we weren't necessarily part of it until now. So that's, even though it's been heavy, it's been really nice to feel like,
to feel that togetherness, and to know that if one person is struggling with something, everyone is like ready to be there. So it's been a lot. It's been a crazy summer. In so many ways. We did a couple of fun trips. I think we talked about going to Utah, and then recently, a few weeks ago, we went to LA again to my sister-in-law, Yehuda's sister. And then actually they came here last week, was it? So we've been doing fun things amongst the craziness, but I am excited to like get back into a little bit of routine and just like, you know, start the year and just like get into a flow.
Right.
Anywho, okay, so let's jump in. Which question should we start off on? Okay, so again, this is going to be questions girls are too afraid to ask, meaning we want your male perspective, you personally, and then also what you believe maybe the general opinion, male opinion would be.
Okay,
I'm just looking at this question that I said in the car when we were driving over here. I don't know if this meant a woman because it says, what's your opinion on dating a man who's older than you? So I'm assuming that they meant a woman who's older than you, because what's your opinion as a man of dating a woman older than you? Because it is a good question, because some men, and I've seen this happen personally, and a lot of like with my clients where they're suggested, and then the guy realizes that she's older, even by a year, even by a little bit, and they're just like, no, I prefer not. Like, and they're not even willing to go out if the woman is older. Obviously, you don't believe that because I'm almost 3 years older than you. But just, I guess, what's your personal opinion on age, on dating older than you, and what do you think generally men want? Like, are they okay with it? Are they not? And if they're not, why not? Why do you think they would be hesitant?
Okay, so age is a number, and if there's a distance between two numbers and they're both growing at the same rate over time, that distance seems much smaller. So I guess if I was thinking right now how different we could be in 3 years apart in our 20s, that's more life experience. Definitely, that's a big chunk more. The difference between a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, obviously, that's twice as much life experience. So that's one extreme. But as you get older, it gets less and less relevant, and you begin to build new life experiences together. The only thing I can imagine is that if a man is maybe a little intimidated by a woman who might know more about the world than him, that could be a cause for hesitation. But if he is more worldly or confident about his own identity, then I think that would make it easier for someone to be.
I like that. So you're saying it's an insecurity.
Yeah, within a few years, and then I guess that can stretch as many years as the individuals are going to be comfortable with that sort of thing. If they can appreciate the whatever level the other person is on, I don't think the number within a few years for sure is not going to make a big difference. And then more years is again, it's going to be a personal choice. So
let's say he's 21 and you're 25, and he's like, I'm not that necessarily a 25-year-old would want to date, but whatever the case is, if you are rejected because of your age, and a guy is like, I don't want to go out with her because she's older than me, instead of being offended, I guess this is just, I really like what you're saying.
The number is an indication of what you can assume is like their amount of life experience, and
right,
and therefore, because the few years really don't have much practical difference. Otherwise, I'm saying,
unless you think would a man,
unless you think that, sorry,
no, I interrupted you, but thanks. Would a man, do you think, be? You're saying intimidated. Oh my gosh, you're saying intimidated by maybe more wisdom, more life experience, having a better hold on yourself. But like, do you think a man would be intimidated by thinking like a woman would have had more experiences in terms of dating, in terms of being in relationships? You think that's like a certain aspect of like innocence, or like she's ahead of me in a certain way, and that's also emasculating?
Well, that's the exact same thing. I'm saying that's another example of...
That's another aspect of the same thing.
Of the experience. And if you are, if in that regard, you are, as a man, you're inexperienced or still developing your identity or understanding, and you come across someone who is ahead of you, you have to either be okay with that and, you know, not see it as emasculating, or maybe it's not, you don't match in that way.
So what were you thinking personally when we met and I asked you how old you are and you said 23, and you said, how old are you? And I said 26. Obviously, you were okay with it. Obviously, we talked about how in another episode, your parents, your mother is 5 years older than your father. You're used to that. Like, you don't see it as an obstacle or don't see it as anything weird, or just, but in terms of what you're saying right now, life experience, maturity, more, you know, had more years to live life, and maybe you've had a lot more. I mean, we've both obviously had experiences, but I've had a lot of like relationship experiences. I almost got engaged. I mean, like the things that maybe you could have been intimidated by, or did you feel behind in, or did you have this concern at all when you were like, wait, am I going to be able to still lead and still, you know, like feel like the man in this case, even though you were younger?
Yeah, no, that was a thought process, but it wasn't something I hadn't thought about before, because I think around at that time I was just starting to think like, you know, I feel like I have a good idea where I am in life and my understanding of the world, you know, socially, I guess, in terms of what I might be looking for in a relationship and what I might need, and my own self-image, that I wasn't so caught up over the need to figure that out still with someone else. I was looking for someone else who also would match that, and in that case, where you were was a good fit, because you know, we both had that feeling, and obviously we still had more to go, plenty more to go. But I think it was less about the age and more just about if we were on a similar level. If you wouldn't have told me how old you were, I'm saying I joked about it plenty. I was like, what, you're not 19?
Yeah.
You know, at the time.
For the first like 2 years of our marriage. We were
Well,
like,
it's,
yeah,
you know, a
she's
little
19.
bit like, you know, I would say a dad joke, but
yeah, and you're
kids,
also, I feel like you're joking way of like still
very
showing
youthful.
up as
Youthful.
the leader.
Right. And again, regardless of your age, you can portray yourself as youthful, and the number doesn't really matter. If you find someone and they're so caught up over the exact number, they don't really know. Either someone told them not to do that, or like subconsciously they're thinking, oh, they're ahead of me, and that's a problem.
And I don't know if not
that they're
place.
old and like a
right,
problem
it's not
because for being
it's
old.
It's not offensive.
It's a
well, maybe in the older, it's like about like having kids, but I feel like that's not really what we're talking about. Because we're talking about in your 20s, where someone's like, "Oh, you're 26, I'm 25, I don't want to go out with you."
But even
like,
with kids, I'm saying that is, again, you are now, if someone doesn't have kids and they do have kids, yes, you're older than them, but you're not at a similar life experience way.
No, I'm not saying if they have kids prior to the marriage. I'm saying
the ability to have kids?
A man, yeah, but I'm saying that's very different, because we're talking about younger. If we were talking about someone who is 38 and doesn't want to date a 40-year-old woman, then I would say that
38 and 40.
I'm just saying, like, when it gets to the older ages, it might be a different reasoning. But we're talking about more in like.
But I think the number is not because of the number. I think the main point is that don't get lost in the numbers, get lost in what the number represents, or don't get lost, but focus on what the number,
what people think the number represents.
What the number represents, and then who, if, and what it means when someone claims that the number is the problem. The number is not the problem. The point in life is not necessarily going to be conducive
to feel like you're aligned
to beginning a relationship together. You're not, you won't be starting on the same point, and that could be tough for either person.
Yeah, I feel like, and this leads, I feel like we're doing a whole podcast episode on just age, but I think this could lead so much into like masculine, feminine dynamics and like polarity and our opinions. Maybe we should do an episode on that, because I think we have some hot takes. Yeah. But anyway,
they might not be.
Okay, next question. Do guys consider love languages and attachment styles when starting to date, or only more so when they see it going somewhere? And my question is if they do it at all, if they consider these things at all, or if they have knowledge on these things at all.
So 10 years ago, I would have said definitely not. But
you're starting off saying personally speaking, or general male perspective?
I think in this case, it's both. Because, and by 10 years ago, I mean maybe 15 years ago, with the internet prevalence of like self-growth and things like that, it's much more likely that you're going to find guys that are better educated in these ways, and that definitely will help them. I think having these self-awareness and then awareness in what they how others are presenting themselves, and they can act with much more, I guess, intention and discernment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's very likely that someone could not have had the chance to learn about these things, and they could just be stumbling around in the dark. Not really. I'm saying just going based on intuition, not really with the awareness and the knowledge, and just hoping that it works out and they find a person that matches what they need. And maybe if they're lucky, maybe the woman can educate them a little bit and figure it out. Or if they've taken like a psychology class also, I would say, that might have even back in the day before
jump-started their brain on.
Yeah, they might have some idea, and they might have then, it could have piqued their interest. They could have tried to learn more on their own. But I think that it's very likely to find guys who have no idea what you're talking about when you say these things, and for better or for worse, it definitely probably would, in that case, be helpful as a woman to know about it. I'm pretty sure you cover those things. And you're definitely
weaved into the work. Yes.
Yeah. So
it's about knowing yourself and coming into a relationship knowing what you need, which I think is actually more important for a woman, even though people are always like, what doesn't the man have to do? It's like, because a woman has more to lose by not honoring her true needs and her desires. And that's just the way I think about it, that like, I don't really care if the man is doing the same amount of work as I am, or like, why should I grow if he's not going to? It's not about that. It's about like, how aware am I of who I am and what I need and what I'm looking for, so that I can actually make an intentional decision. I can know that I'm getting what I need. I can know that when I go into a relationship, it's with someone I can trust to provide me the kind of emotional, mental, physical, like all like my needs. And if I'm not aware of that, I'm the one losing out, instead of being like, well, why doesn't he do the work? So I just think it's so important for a woman, because a woman is so much more easily, and obviously this is generalizing, but like a woman is so much more easily lost in a relationship and eventually in motherhood. And almost like, if she is not coming in aware of like, this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for, this is the vision I have for my husband, for my marriage, for my family, for my children, I think she's at a greater disadvantage than the man is, because the man usually will have more time, more space, brain space, more. Usually, a man is, again, this is all generalizations, but like more assertive, more like, you'll get what you need. You'll voice it. You'll make sure, like, versus a woman is much more easily, dismissive of her own feelings, of her own needs. So I think it's so important for her to come in with even more clarity than the man is in these ways. Would you agree with that?
I would say it will definitely be a problem for the man if it's a problem for the woman. I'm saying after the fact, but it will be for this kind of thing. I don't know if it's more. I don't know if it's either one is more. Definitely, it will be way more quick. It'll be apparent much more quickly for the woman that there's a problem, and it will start affecting her way faster. And the man will have to deal with that and his own.
You're saying within a marriage or within dating? Because I think if a woman already knows, that will also keep her not in relationships for longer. Why should she waste her precious time?
That's true.
Dating people who are not good for her, because she doesn't really know they're not good for her, and only finds out way too late because she doesn't have awareness and she hasn't done this kind of inner work.
Right. It would definitely save time for everyone. For sure for the woman who is more aware of these needs, and then to be able to have that vocabulary and that discernment of the types and you know, what decision would be smartest to make instead of just wondering like what's going on. That will definitely save time and avoid problems in the future.
All right, next question. I think this is going to touch on the polarity aspect. So we won't get too deep into it, but do you think, and again personally and then male collectively, do you think men view traditional marriage roles now changing to be emasculating for men, more empowering for women, or somewhere in the middle? It's a really actually well-written question, so good job.
Well, let's first define how they're changing before I can decide whether or not that's...
Traditional marriage roles are now changing. I mean, if we had to sum that
up. Like since the
50s? Definitely, but I'm saying, I think I could assume what this woman means is, you know, men not always being the full provider, women working more than they used to, women having much stronger voices in their families, in the work world, in the society.
Less fear that if they are independent in any way or ever have to be independent, that they're going to die, or that they're not going to be able to live a normal, fulfilled life. And that is a big difference now. So it's definitely better for women. But
do you view it primarily as more emasculating for men or more empowering for women? Or do you see it in a combination?
I think it's, it can be, it's not a combination, but you need to navigate it differently. And if you try and rely on maybe generationally passed down habits
or ways of relating.
And you navigate it without, you know, looking at the way things are now and the needs of each person, how they are now in the world, which is still constantly changing and evolving and improving, creating new good things, new problems. You know, with every change, it needs to be understood. And we're doing that, but there's definitely new problems that never existed that need to be considered. And if you try and lean on, you know, ways that are becoming obsolete, you're going to have issues from that. And if you believe in these ways that don't apply as well, and you're putting so much faith in them, or not faith in them, but you're holding on to them so much, as like if they are not,
you're holding on to past ideas of roles too rigidly without accounting for the changes that we're talking about that have happened.
Right, and if you think that's how it's supposed to be, and then it's not going to be that way, you might feel emasculated, you might feel less of a man. But if you understand what your role as a man is now in the current world, and what a woman's role is, and what her reason is for why she is with you, then you're going to have a big change of perspective. It's going to shift, and you're going to realize that as a man, it is very, I don't know, what's the opposite of emasculating? It's going to be very
I don't know. It's a good question. Is there a specific word? It's going to be masculated.
But that just sounds the same thing.
For you.
No, you're going to feel you're going to feel proud of your role, and you're going to feel strong.
Yeah, you're going to feel needed.
Yeah. So nowadays things are different, and
so with things being different, and you're like, it sounds like you're saying it is more empowering for women. You see how it's a benefit to women, so that they don't have to worry. We don't have to worry as much in today's world of, like, I think it still exists.
As humans, I'm saying we don't have to worry. Everyone doesn't have to worry about so many things.
About survival in the same way, especially without a man.
The risks are way lower.
In a way, men can feel more emasculated because they're like, oh, women don't need me. But men and women still need each other. It's just a matter of like how you're redefining the ways that you relate, and where are you taking pride in your masculinity? Is it because a woman is completely dependent on you, like maybe in the past, or is it because a woman is completely wanting you in her life and wanting you to provide yourself and everything that you give to the relationship and to the family? Like, I think that's the beauty in today's roles of, like, it's actually much more about want versus need, which could be more powerful. Instead of emasculating, it can actually be more powerful. I don't know if you see it this way.
It's also more voluntary instead of controlling. I think a symptom of the past ways was that men were, it's not manly to be controlling, but they were controlling because they were in control. And now if you think that you have to be in control to be a man, that is, you're trying to hold on to what was a symptom of the past roles. And now it's you are voluntarily providing.
Yeah. Next question that actually connects a lot. Is it reasonable for the man to make all the money for the household? And this is something that my clients come to me all the time asking, because they're like, well, I need to feel secure. I need a guy who makes all the money. And then there's a lot of schools of thought of like, I don't know if that's realistic in today's world, or is that necessarily still a requirement? Again, with the changing roles of how society is right now, if a woman wants to work and then she's still having those same expectations, like, do you think it's reasonable personally? Do you think it's reasonable as a male perspective? Do men find it reasonable? And they're like, sure, of course it's my job. I'll do it.
Reasonable to what?
To make all the money for the household, to be expected to do so.
Do men feel like it's reasonable that women shouldn't work?
I guess. Or if they're working, that it's not their, it's almost like that they can contribute if they want kind of thing, but it's not like it's not on them.
The answer is very similar. It's nowadays we have options and women can work, but that means they are now not necessarily as available to run the household in the same way that it used to be, either children, food, cleaning, whatever it is. And the man would then have to discuss that. And if he is not making enough money and she needs to work, then that also needs to be part of the discussion. Not making enough money, I guess, for what they both want, because there's always a way to survive. So it's less about survival, where the man would just like have to do whatever he could to make it work. And I'm sure there were plenty of times where the women also had to do something to survive. And, you know, if he's not home, now there's this whole idea of being able to work from home, or just to have these hybrid work arrangements that allowed you to also, as a man, take care of household needs way more flexibly and more availably. Like, you just have to look at the reality of how things are now. And it's not about reasonableness. It's about what you both bring to the table and what you both need and what you both want. And if, you know, you definitely want to discuss these things ahead of time and consider all this, because if you go into it with expectations that are not, that you never told each other, or are not, I guess, flexible or willing
reasonable.
To change, not reasonable.
So should a woman,
you can have whatever expectations you want, but you need to know that.
Should, for a woman who's, and this is from the guy's perspective, like, is it reasonable for a woman to say, this is what I expect of you, and anything less would be a disappointment or would be a reason to like not be able to go out with you? Or from a man's perspective, it's like, why would you expect that of me if there's so many other ways of doing things that work?
Right, that could happen. You could have a man say, like, why make me work so hard? I guess you could look at it that way. When you could also work and we could find someone else to do these other jobs. And if that is gonna,
I mean, if a guy said that, that would turn me off.
Right.
A guy actually has said that to me.
Other than me?
What? You have never said that to me. I was dating someone for actually quite a while. This was one of my like more serious dating. I'm not sure if I ever told this to you, but we must have gone on like, I don't know, 8 to 10 dates. I've already met his family. Yeah, he's met my family. It was later in. And then I remember one conversation we were having on the phone. We were a few hours apart, so not really long distance because we still drove to like have dates with each other, but
you're a few hours like driving apart.
A few hours driving,
okay.
Yeah. So I remember, that's why I was saying we were on the phone, because some of our communication was like having like long phone calls. So I remember talking about mental health stuff, because I was kind of like opening up to him about like certain things that I've struggled with mental health wise, especially at that time in my life when I was dating and things were much more prominent. And I was saying, there are like things that I struggle with, and just there could be times where I'm just not going to feel like I plan to work. I'm a working girl, like I like to work. And I would never want to not, but there might be times that I just don't feel like I have the capacity to, because maybe I'm going to need, like, my mental health is just going to need me to, like, focus on it and take care of myself, and just like I just can't. I don't want to promise. I don't want was having that conversation of expectations. I don't want us to go into this marriage with you thinking that I'm for sure always going to work, and that this is my philosophy to, like, equally provide and all of that, because I want that flexibility of you understanding that I struggle with certain things and I may need that grace. And I want it to be known and understood that, like, this is not an expectation on me. It's almost like a great benefit and bonus that we can both be bringing in an income. And if not, I'm happy to rely on you. And he did not like that, let's just say. And it was very...
He didn't like that you were willing to work, or he didn't like that you were planning on him to be the main guy?
He was saying,
income.
Basically, for me, it was very hard to take, because he was basically saying, because of your mental health issues, so to speak, I'm not willing to do this. That was he basically ended it over this, which obviously, thank God. But at the time, it was just basically for me to say that I can't promise you I'll always be fully capable and able to work and equally contribute. And please give me grace for that.
Are pregnant?
I know. I was going to say, I'm like, does maybe he not realize how life?
Yeah, inherently there is going to always be that difference, is that if you plan on having kids, you're going to, as a man, need to either be holding all the burden of income on your shoulders, or as a woman, if you do have a job and there's maternity leave and all these things, just having that factored in, because you're going to need to be a mother.
Right. And so the man is going to have to step up, even with a quote unquote equally contributing household. The man is going to have to step up at many points in life to give his wife that grace and that time to recover, to be herself, to get what she needs, because she does go through a lot more physically, mentally, emotionally. So that's what was really off-putting to me. And I was like glad that this obviously wasn't working out, because it was, if that's what you're going to expect of me, or if I'm too nervous about this stuff that you're describing, your mental health struggles, like, that's too much for me, because it makes life too unstable for me if I don't know if you're going to be, like, fully able to equally contribute. And that was very off-putting to me. So I would still the reason I brought this up is because we're talking about if a man should think it's reasonable. I think even in today's world, and you could tell me if you see it this way or not, but, like, even in today's world where women can contribute and oftentimes will, and the balance of the relationship will be different and the dynamic will be different, there still is that certain, like, if anything happens, I am the leader in this. I am the provider, ultimate provider, like, even like through the ups and downs, through pregnancy, postpartum, through if you have any mental health struggles, through whatever it is. Like, I mean, obviously in sickness and in health goes both ways, but
right.
I would say, because we said women have more things in their life in terms of, like, when it comes to motherhood, of, like, why they would be unable to work or be taking breaks in work, I would need and want a man to say, this is, like, everything is ultimately on me. When you're fully capable and willing and able, and you want to work, and we can make our arrangements in that way, and I can, like you do more in the house than maybe other men do, because you work more, like, we can make our own arrangements. But if push comes to shove, if I just can't work, that you wouldn't be upset, resentful, you would fully be giving me that grace and happy to step up in the ways that you need.
It's not that you're unwilling to work in terms of bringing in income. You're not unwilling to work.
Good man.
As a wife and mother and whatever the house needs,
right.
Especially if I am required to then hold the burden of the income completely. You're not saying you're not doing anything.
I'm not checking out of life. I am just tending to certain aspects of life. You're not
voluntarily checking out of life if something happened and then you really... But that could go either way. Anyone could have something that happens. So this is more about specifically regarding income and earning a livelihood, so to speak. If a woman is willing, then great. If not, then great. But you need to discuss this and be okay with it. And
discuss expectations,
if you're not okay with it, could be a few reasons. I'm saying nowadays you have options.
Never know.
Nowadays there's ways. Yeah, you don't know. You have to discuss these things. You do.
Yeah, right. Okay, so last couple of questions that I'm going to tie together because I think it's the same idea, and we'll do a little more rapid fire style.
All right.
Because we got to wrap up this episode. But someone here is saying the saying of if he likes you, you'll know, and if not, you'll be confused. Do you agree with that? Along with another question of how much do men actually pursue, and how much of that is like rom-com nonsense from a male perspective?
Depends how understanding you are of these things. Like, you'll be confused maybe regardless. It's too generalized, but definitely if you know what to look for and you are...
Wait, you as a man or you as a woman?
No, as a woman.
Okay. More so,
how's this
will
question
a man...
for a man?
Because it's basically if a woman's dating and she's like, and I feel confused, is that an indication that he doesn't like me? Because if he really liked me, I would know, and I wouldn't have to sit here wondering, does he going to text me back? Does he actually really like me? How much does he like me? Does he actually really see this going somewhere? Am I just another girl that he kind of likes but isn't ready to commit to? Like,
so not necessarily. It could be that this guy really likes you and just doesn't know how to show it, and that...
Is that the exception, though?
And it's not necessarily the exception. It depends on the guy, and it depends on his strengths and his weaknesses and what he's learned and what he hasn't. But you as a woman can be prepared and know how to tell which it is. And definitely.
Also know how to ask in a
right. You need to be able to pinpoint these things, and that's not regardless of whose job it is. You can be well prepared to figure. There's ways you can figure this out, I think, with the proper questions and the proper self-awareness and the awareness of like how things should go and shouldn't go, and
I think also the second you're confused as a woman, you can so easily say like, hey, what are we doing here? Or like, is this something like ask a couple of pinpointed questions and then really get your clarity, which is kind of like what happened with us. But the point is that if you're still confused, I don't mean maybe not initial confused, right? But if you're still confused, you've been trying to get the answer of like, does he actually really like me? And you keep finding yourself trying to get this answer because nothing he's saying is giving you that assurance. So
yeah, if you've really done all the...
So we're not talking about initial confused. I'm talking about like
if you've done the legwork and you've
about the relationship,
tried to check and you've tried, what you think, like you really have a handle on the situation, and it's still... you've tried to communicate and it's really still confusing. I guess it could mean he must not like you. Right. Enough is a good point, because why is he even talking to you, and why is he even keeping this up, and what?
That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of men are just like, yeah, I like you, but I'll just keep texting you and like liking you until wife material comes along,
So then, but... Right, is he wasting his time? Or is he trying to...
Yeah, he's happy to waste his time. He didn't...
Is he?
It's less emotional investment and less to lose, and he can always just talk to the next girl when she comes along. A woman is like, maybe this is my life. Maybe this is my future. Maybe this is my husband.
Yeah, I know. So
if you feel confused, you're basically saying the initial confusion is like, wait, does he like me? Sometimes that initial like communication could be a little bit unclear of like... Right, with you, it's like you didn't necessarily show it in the way that I needed right away. But then when I checked for confirmation, I got plenty of confirmation. So if you're confused as a woman, if a guy likes you and it's more than after the first initial stage, and you're just kind of like having a relationship where you're consistently confused about if the guy likes you, he does not like you enough. And going into do men actually pursue, and how much of that is rom-com nonsense? Isn't that kind of the same...
It's a similar answer.
Like, men will pursue you.
Men will pursue. They might not always know how or have the means in the way that they want to, or they might not be doing it in the way that you need, and it might not look like they're pursuing. But again, this can be cleared up, especially if you know what to look for and what to say, and you can figure it out. And if he's still not, after you give him the right direction, whatever you feel you're willing to do and will be helpful, and it's still not happening, then, I mean, rom-coms are rom-coms. Everything can be romanticized and dramatized, but
the core thing of like a man, if he really likes you, will show you,
right,
and you'll know, is that there is the truth to that part. It's just maybe like over dramatized.
Well, the expectation that he'll get it right.
The first time.
The first, second, or third time is not necessarily.
Yeah, it's a good.
You
nuance.
have to give some wiggle room and willingness to maybe nudge and guide and direct them in the way you need. Similarly, back to the love language thing, they won't always know what is right for you, and you can, if you want it bad enough, you can not out of desperation, but if you're willing to make it work and you think that there is that he could do it, and maybe he just doesn't know how. It's not necessarily that he doesn't want to.
Yeah,
if you can
There's
show
the willingness
him,
is there,
and
it just
then
makes
you
a
can
different
see
path.
if that willingness is there, and if it's not, then I guess it's not.
Then that's your answer. Yeah. Well,
the main theme is educate yourself, find someone who knows what they're talking about, and maybe they can help you learn about yourself and what you're looking for in others. And I was not paid to say this. Or maybe I am.
Right. I'm like, well, you're married to me. So if you are a single woman dating for marriage and you're looking to gain that self-awareness and that self-assurance and that confidence and clarity that you need to make a wholehearted, intentional decision for marriage, knowing that you're with the right guy, that this is the man you want to spend the rest of your life with, to be your husband, the father of your children, making such an important decision with that clarity and confidence.
And not being confused by silly men.
Because you have the self-worth and everything that you need to understand the situation in front of you and to navigate your dating journey. Book a free call with me at the link in the description or show notes below, and I can't wait to talk to you and see if you're a good fit for the program. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks again, Yehuda, for joining, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.